This is Flameland, my short, cute, colorful 2D platformer. It's mostly done, and I've been working on polish, but today I wanted to do a devlog because I've added a collectible to the game. Well, sort of added. It's more like I elevated a power-up. See, I was playing Banjo-Kazooie recently, and I was really enjoying the amount of stuff to collect, and the variety of stuff to collect. And I was thinking about my own game, which professes to be, in part, a collectathon, in which you collect dragons and level exits. And I couldn't shake the feeling that I wanted more collectibles. But there's this problem, because Flameland isn't just a collectathon, it's also an arcade-style game where you do score runs, and what I love about the collectibles is they all tie into those arcadey score runs. The dragons aren't just collectibles, they are playable characters that you can use on future score runs. And they are extra lives in the current score run. And the level exits, well, I think those are essential to crafting the perfect run, since you'll want to compare your scores from different level exits to see where you're scoring the highest. It's essential that any collectible I add be married to the arcade game loop. But with the arcade game loop already complete, what collectibles could I possibly have to add? That's when I remembered this power-up, the 10 coin power-up. When I was placing power-ups in the game, I had a sort of hierarchy. Bubble shields and diamonds are the least valuable, power refills are more valuable, but still need to be somewhat common so you don't run out of power on all your dragons. And I decided the most valuable and rarest would be these 10 coins, since they instantly fill your run meter by half. For players trying to score high, filling the run meter is essential, so these power-ups can really swing a run. And it's that swinginess that ended up making them extra rare. I couldn't have something that drastically impacts your score right on the main path. They became the rarest in part because they really only made sense in out-of-the-way places, which then meant that when I had an out-of-the-way place, I wanted to put a 10 coin there. And for my new purpose, it means that tracking 10 coin collection is also a good way to check if a player has found all the out-of-the-way obscure places in a level. So I made the 10 coin my new collectible, and added a few more into the game. And thus I solved the first question of this collectible. How does this tie into score runs? Well, it already was tied into score runs before I even made it a collectible. But there's another question. What does this unlock? Because the dragons, well, they unlock, dragons? They unlock themselves as playable characters. And the level exits, they unlock the level music in the bell tower. So what could the 10 coins unlock? I had some pretty ambitious ideas. I drafted these sprites when I was imagining a Chow Garden virtual pet side mode where the 10 coins would unlock things for your virtual pets, but I think that would bloat the game. Chow Garden works as a kind of pace break from a large adventure game, whereas Flameland is an arcade-style game that's already using the collectathon as a kind of pace break from that arcade game. I drafted these mounts inspired by the friends from the Kirby's Dream Land series, but I have a lot of questions about how they would work, or if they might throw off the balance of a run, or if their sprites are too big, or if they make sense to begin a run with, and if I ever do implement them, which I genuinely don't know if they'd be a good idea, it certainly would be a bad idea to hide them behind 10 coins, because they'd be not only an immense amount of work, as I basically would be sync-tupling the number of characters as I try to make each mount interact with all the characters in different ways, but it would also be something that I think would interest new players in a way that it doesn't make sense to hide it so late in the game. Idea 3 was to make different costumes for the 4 characters that you begin the game with. The idea was each 10 coin would unlock a different costume. And I still really like this idea. To me, it adds content without adding bloat, since the costumes are purely aesthetic. Basically, I think a casual player wouldn't feel obligated to search for all the costumes, but still might find it neat if they stumbled across one. I ultimately didn't do this because making the animations would be a lot of work, and I just thought my time could be spent better elsewhere. Which is not to say I won't come back to it, but it is to say for now, I'm much happier with what I put my time into and came up with. So what did I come up with? Well, I decided to add a library to the bell tower, these 4 books. The first one, which you unlock for free, tells you which 10 coins you're missing and provides a small description. The second one, that you unlock for 8 10 coins, is a bestiary with small jokes about the different enemies. And the third one, which you unlock for 16 10 coins, is a concept art book that contains sprites from older versions of Flameland I made when I was younger and really bad at pixel art. But the fourth book I am really happy with. I added in-game achievements. I mean more creative achievements than the ones that were already found in the bell tower. The ones in the bell tower are basically, did you complete the game? I've been talking about adding something like this since at least Devlog 4 of this series, but I always worried it would bloat the game. But then I had this idea. What if the achievements were purely customizable? I had sort of been thinking thinking about something like this for a while. When I was a kid and had completed Mario 64, I remember coming across an online post about someone who had made their own Mario 64 challenges. The example I remember is speedrunning the King Bob-omb star using the wing cap to get to him. That was so cool! It made me want to try it, and later it made me want to implement something in my own game that would encourage players to design challenges like that. More importantly, by making achievements customizable, I make them explicitly optional. There can be no reward for completing achievements because I don't even know what achievements you will create. Maybe you want a pacifist run where you can't switch dragons and can't lose lives. Maybe you want to free 2 dragons and still try to finish before time runs out. Maybe you want to kill 45 enemies before completing a level. Or maybe you want to kill 20 enemies and still score 10 on time bonus or something. My hope is that this makes achievement mode into more of a pure reward rather than another task toward completion. I hope that by making it customizable, I make it more into a toy maybe you play around with sometimes, rather than something you feel you need to complete to see all of the game. I also like that by hiding it behind 24 10 coins, I really think it's only very dedicated players who will find this alternate mode. Because I think this mode will appeal more to really dedicated players than it ever would to casual players. I think I took some inspiration from Mario Maker's alternate win cons and how I designed the achievement maker, and later in the process I added these diamonds that replace the ability text in the HUD so that you can track how close you are to completing or failing different achievements. But that's just the reward for finding 24 of the 10 coins. What do you get for finding all 32 of the 10 coins? Well, to that dedicated player who finds all 32 10 coins, I have made available the castle in practice mode. Because you see, in the original level select, which I think of as like a practice mode where you try individual levels before playing them in a round, I had excluded the castle. And that's for 2 reasons. One is philosophical. The castle is the last level in a round, and as such is supposed to be the climax of that round. Putting it in the standard practice mode felt like it took away from some of its specialness. But the other is practical, because I'd need to make like a whole screen just to tell me what kind of castle you wanted to play. Let me explain. Flameland, a lot like Star Fox 64, lets you pick your levels within a round. You don't have to play the same level 1, the same level 2, the same level 3 every time. And the castle actually changes to reflect your choice of levels. Now, it would be totally impractical to make a different castle for each level combination, so instead I made the individual rooms based on combinations of levels. Remember a second ago when I said I'd need a whole screen to help you design the castle in castle practice mode? Well, here's that screen that I made for those who get 32 10 coins. And you can see on the screen that levels 1 and 2 affect the first room, levels 2 and 3 affect the second room, level 4 dictates the third room, and levels 1 and 3 influence the fourth room. I really love the castle because it lets me combine elements from levels that usually wouldn't go together, like these vampires on these treadmills, but I have to cut myself off there because I don't want to spoil the last level of the game. Now, I know I said putting the castle level into practice mode might ruin some of its specialness, but I think 32 10 coins is a sufficient barrier to preserve that specialness. Anyone who unlocks the castle in practice mode this way has gotten to the castle at least 3 times, probably more, and has gotten this 10 coin, which requires bringing one of each dragon type all the way to the castle, or at least bringing a dragon who can bypass one of the dragon abilities you're missing using some sort of jump ability. Either way, by the time you unlock the castle in practice mode, you have thoroughly mastered the game. And personally, I do want to practice the castle for my own score runs of my own games, so this was for me as much as for anyone else. Anyway, that's what I've been working on recently, and I'm really happy with these updates, especially the achievement mode. I hope you'll consider wishlisting the game on Steam, but you can also get it for free right now on itch.io. And you might want to do that, because when we release it on Steam, we probably will release it for money. What's missing right now mostly is the music, and there's still some fine tweaking I want to do. Thanks so much for watching.